Hey, so the Democratic Party establishment leaders seem to have a lot of confusion about what is happening as it relates to this community that I'm a part of, this Bernie or Best portion, at least, Bernie or Bust portion of the progressive movement. And I decided to be nice and help them out a little bit, give them a little clarity. The confusion is very much demonstrated by the closed session meeting that the senator had to figure out how to deal with Senator Sanders as reported in the Hill. And so I think the big problem is that they are thinking of Bernie Sanders as our leader, right? As in the typical term of leadership, in that if he says something, we're going to do it, right? Like he understands that's not the case. He has expressed and articulated that we all think for ourselves. And, in response to Clinton's urgings to ask his supporters to back her if she becomes the nominee, he has clearly articulated that he can't do that because he does not control us. And that's the truth. We are our own individual selves, that we communicate amongst ourselves, we talk to each other, and we strategize together, and we do that separately from Bernie Sanders. What Bernie Sanders is he is our connection to the Democratic Party. He is the only thing that is keeping us connected to the Democratic Party. And so for a large number of us, if Bernie Sanders leaves the race, we leave the party. And so right now we have our Go Green June 19 campaign, where we are encouraging anyone who supports Sanders' candidacy, one, anyone who does not want Donald Trump to be the president, two, anyone who does not want Hillary Clinton to be the president. Anybody who falls into any of those three categories, we're asking those people to get together with us and to put your voice with ours, to speak loudly that is how we feel, by changing our registration to the Green Party. And we are asking people to do that starting on June 19th, and to not do it if you have a role in the Democratic convention, and to not do it if you have any upcoming local elections. Some states separate their presidential election from their local elections. And so if there's a local election coming up, then don't change your party if you are a Democrat and you intend to vote in the Democratic primaries. Other than that, we're asking people to change party affiliation. If Bernie was to step out of the race today, then June 19 is no longer a point. June 19 was chosen because it's after all of the primaries, as well as because it's Juneteenth, and Juneteenth is a day that represents the reality that all Americans have the right to freedom. But we don't need to wait until after the primaries and to stay in solidarity with those of us who still have yet to vote. If Sanders leaves, after the primaries, anytime between now, if he was to concede, anytime between now and the convention, massive numbers of people are going to roll out. So just understand that he is what's keeping us. The last thing you probably should want is for him to step down and concede, as you've been begging him to, because with his lack of candidacy, you lose a load of voters automatically. We're rolling out. So we're definitely not staying if Bernie is not the nominee. We will wait. Many of us, some people aren't even willing to do that, but many of us will wait and see how things go with the convention. Even though we are going green in advance of the convention, if Bernie becomes the nominee, we'll come back. And if he's not the nominee, then there will be millions probably that will join us and leave the party. So that's one thing that you should understand, establishment Democrats. But also just know that we're doing our own thing. Bernie or Bust is a transformative movement. Right now, Bernie is our candidate. Bernie is the individual who he's very meaningful to us because he stands in alignment with and was a beacon to draw together all of us who have a certain set of principles. But really, ultimately, our movement is an insistence that democracy be returned to the democratic process. And as long as that's not what's happening, we're going to be fighting. We're not going to fall in line. This is not the Puma movement. This is not a movement where we are just about Bernie. We are also, as much as we are about Bernie, we are as much as that against the corruption and the unfairness and the inequity that has been ushered into our lives through our government. And so if you really want to try to figure out how to handle this situation, you should stop talking to Bernie about it, because Bernie is doing all the right things. He is continuing to function as a man with integrity. And he is also recognizing he is not going to get up in here and try to force us to be or do anything different than we are. He knows there's no point, and he knows that it would be a betrayal. So there's no point in having conversations with him. You need to find a whole bunch of us and talk to us, and then you'll hear even more definitively how serious we are, and then maybe you'll make the right decisions as the weeks come up. At least stop allowing for all of this craziness in this election process. So those are my words, some words of encouragement for my comrades, and some words of warning for those of you who don't understand us.